Good morning. Welcome to C3. My name is Alisha Miller. I'm our CrossKids director here. And over the past 4 weeks, we have done our road trip vacation Bible school. We decided to try something a little different this year. It was more mission-based. It was where we took 4 weeks to prepare to go out and serve the community and have a VBS pop-up party. But we started off, we visited New York. Then we went camping in Denver, surfing in Los Angeles. Then we went down to San Antonio. We walked the Riverwalk and visited the Alamo. And then we got to come home. And last week, we had our VBS pop-up party down at 9th Street Park. And it was so amazing. It was so hot, but it was so amazing. We still had a great turnout. And guys, the kids are the ones who hosted that, and the kids and the volunteers, and then we partnered with For the Tri-State, and our Kids Club kids jumped on board, and they helped. We had a great turnout. We had amazing volunteers. Our kids done amazing. So if you are part of CrossKids, if you help with CrossKids volunteer, if you are a CrossKid, if you're with For the Tri-State and you help on our Kids Club on Tuesdays, go ahead and stand up because we want to recognize you and cheer for you today and celebrate all that you have done. Okay, I know that there's more than this. There's nobody here? Nobody standing up? There we go. There we go. Everybody gives me a applause. Okay, so I realized here recently that there are two types of people in this world. There are people with good sense of direction, and then there are people with no sense of direction, and then they usually marry each other. I know that to be a fact because my husband and I are a polar opposite when it comes to that. My husband, he works out of town. I mean, I know we have GPS now, but even before that, like he works out of town, so he works for the road. So some weeks he's up in New York, and then some weeks he is down in Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. I mean, he is all over the East Coast, and he leaves every single week. And he just has to have the GPS one time, and then he can find his way there. He is really, really amazing. He has really great sense of direction. Me, I do not. I have a terrible sense of direction, and the running joke in my family is that I would get lost in a round room, and they are not too far off because I'm going to tell you a very personal, embarrassing story. Feel free to laugh at me, though. Listen, my dad calls it a blonde moment. I get it. I'm fine with it. But several years ago, it was my brother's birthday, and we were going to Roosters in Huntington to eat. And so we're on our way there, and I called him. I'm like, where are you at? And he said, we're on the top floor of the parking garage at Pullman Square. We'll wait on you. I was like, oh, okay, great. I know where that is. So I get in the car. We're driving there. I'm in this parking garage for what seems like forever, and I'm just driving, and I'm like, how many floors does this parking garage have? Because I just keep driving, and I'm not getting to the top. And then I hear this tiny voice, and it says, we're going in circles. That tiny voice was my 10-year-old daughter at the time, and she realized that we were going in circles in the parking garage before I did because I have terrible sense of direction, and she does not. She's like her dad. So needless to say, I was in a parking garage, but there are two parking garages at Pullman Square, guys. Did you guys know that? There are two. There is one that you can get to the top floor, and then the other one, there is no top floor. There is no top floor. It's not open. But anyways, we found our way there. We had dinner, and I got to be the butt of the joke for the rest of the evening, and that's fine. I'm used to it. I think it happens to me all the time. But I will tell you, not only do I get lost in parking garages and go in circles, but I spend a lot of my time in life going in circles too. And maybe you guys can relate to this. You might not get lost in parking garages, but you might relate to this. Sometimes mentally I'm going in circles. I overthink everything. Sometimes it's emotionally. I play past hurts, things that have happened to me. I worry about if I hurt somebody else or hurt somebody's feelings or done something wrong to hurt someone else. Sometimes it's something at home, it's at work, it's a relationship, or even one that gets me the most are my past mistakes. And the truth is, when we spend our lives going in circles, we miss what God has in store for us. We miss the real purpose that God has for us. And there's a guy named in the Bible who knows all about this, and his name is Saul. So let's watch him real quick, and then we'll talk more about it. Let's watch this video together.
When you read the Bible, there's a guy that really stands out, a man named Paul. Paul was a missionary who wrote the books of Romans, Galatians, and many others in the Bible. But what's really incredible is Paul's story before he became a follower of Jesus. He was a very different person. His name wasn't even Paul. It was Saul, and he hated anyone who followed Jesus. Saul tried to do what was right by following the old laws, but he believed anyone who followed Jesus was wrong. So he chased down Christians and captured them. One day, Saul was given permission to go to a town called Damascus and arrest any followers of Jesus that he found there. But an incredible event happened on the road to Damascus. As Saul got closer to the city, a bright light shone from heaven, blinding him. He dropped to the ground and heard a loud voice coming from the sky.
Saul, Saul, why are you out to get me?
Who are you?
I am Jesus, the one you think is wrong. Get up and go to the city. Then you will be told what you need to do next.
Saul got up from the ground, but he was blind. He couldn't see anything. He was led to Damascus by his men, but for 3 full days, he was blind and didn't eat or drink anything. Now in that city, there was a man who followed Jesus. His name was Ananias. He also heard the voice of Jesus.
Ananias, go to the house where Saul is. Place your hands on him, so he will be able to see again.
Ananias was scared because he knew Saul had a bad reputation. He knew Saul hated Christians like him, but the Lord said,
Go. Saul is the man I have chosen to share my good news.
So Ananias went to the house where Saul was staying. He put his hands on him and prayed for God to restore Saul's sight. Immediately, Saul could see again. He quickly chose to follow Jesus, got baptized, and regained his strength with some food. Saul stayed in that city and began to share God's good news with everyone. People knew he was the man who used to hate God and Christians, but they saw that now he was different. God had transformed him. He was no longer the Saul that didn't believe in Jesus. Now he was Paul, who spent the rest of his life serving God.
Okay, so Saul was a terrible human, right? But there's one thing about him. He was passionate. He was driven. He knew that he knew that he had a plan for himself, and he was convinced that it was the right thing to do. But as you've seen, he was heading in the wrong direction. He was going the wrong way. We're going to talk a little bit more about Paul in just a second, but we're going to play a quick game, because when we're on road trips, the thing we see the most are roads and road signs. So we're going to play a quick game called Name That Road Sign. Anybody tell me what this is? Good job. Grayson knew it was a roundabout. Yes, this is a roundabout. And roundabouts are actually really, really good about keeping the flow of traffic moving, right? Like I'll be honest with you, when they put the roundabouts in South Point and Ironton, and then when they put them in Ashland, I was like, this is going to be disastrous. This is awful. Why are we doing this? But actually, they know way more than me, because it actually really does help. Like we don't have any traffic jams. It just traffic just keeps moving, flowing smoothly, right? But when people don't use them correctly, sometimes there's problems. There's accidents, and then I've actually seen people just get on the roundabout and just keep driving in circles because they really don't know what to do once they get on it, right? But when it's used correctly, it can keep you moving in the right direction. But if not, if you just keep driving on it, then you're just going to keep going in circles. And that is where most of us live. Ever been in a situation where you think, I'm not good enough, I'll never change, I've messed up way too much, God's never going to forgive me, I'm never going to be able to forgive myself? That's exactly where Saul was. He was just stuck in this endless loop. What he thought but he didn't even realize what he was doing was wrong until he encountered Jesus. He was moving fast, but he was heading in the wrong direction because he believed the wrong things. So, on our roundabout, let's go back to get our point. Don't get stuck in who you think you are. Many of us get stuck not because we're not moving, but it's because we have accepted an identity that God never gave us. Paul had accepted an identity that God never gave him. And I'm going to be honest, I'm 44 now, but 20 years ago, I had accepted an identity that God hadn't. That was not from God. It was very broken. It was, I'm not good enough. I've made too many mistakes. I don't know. I mean, when you saw me, I was smiling and happy, but on the inside, I was very sad because I really didn't know who I was in the direction that I was supposed to be going. And it was a terrible way for me to live. And I was searching in all the wrong places to find who I was. And then after I had my son Gavin, I decided that there's got to be more than this. Like, I want him to grow up and I want him to know more than this. There has to be something more. So then I find C3. And once I started coming to C3, then I started realizing, like, they accept me for who I am. It doesn't matter the mistakes that I've made, and that's how I come to realize that God accepts me for who I am, and he doesn't care about the past mistakes that I've made, and he loves me for what I am and who I am. None of that matters. I had a clean slate. He had given me a new identity, so that was great. I was so happy. I had a church home. I was doing all the motions. I was helping in CrossKids. I was doing all the things because I was still exhausted because even 10 years later, I was still trying to make my own identity. I was thinking, I need to be better. I need to do better. I need to do better for God. I need to do better for others. I need to be a better person. I need to be a better mom. I need to do better. And I was exhausted. And when I would mess up, I would be so hard on myself. It was even worse then. And then one day I was talking to Trent, and we'd had a rough morning at home getting the kids out for school. Something happened with the car. It was just terrible, like pure chaos. I kind of lost my mind. Everybody's like, we're raising our voices at each other, and that is important. No mom wants to start their day off like that. And I came in, and I just felt defeated, and I was like, I need to do better. I need to do better. I need to be a better mom. I'm just failing at all of this. And Trent kind of looked at me, and he was like, I don't even understand that. He's like, what do you mean? You don't have to do better. He's like, God accepts you for exactly for who you are. Like, God has given you a new identity. You are a new person. You are blameless. You are honestly, he looks at you and he sees Jesus. So you don't have to do better. And it was almost like my second encounter that I had. Paul had his encounter with Jesus. I had an encounter with Jesus. Had an encounter with Trent, not putting him on the same pedestal as Jesus. but no, he really did help me to understand that I didn't have to keep doing more. I could just rest knowing that Jesus loved me and knowing that my identity was found in God. So just because you've been going in circles doesn't mean that's where you're supposed to stay. Okay, next one. What is this? You guys cheated. It tells you. Don't get stuck seeing yourself the wrong way. So has anyone ever been down a one-way street? I have. And the wrong way. Going the wrong way down a one-way street. It's terrifying. The whole time you're on the street, all you can think about is, how can I get off of this? Do I go backwards? Do I go forwards? What do I do? I'm stuck here. If I come in contact with a car head on, we're going to crash. It's going to be terrible. A one-way sign points us in the direction that we're supposed to go, and God doesn't want us to see ourselves in the wrong way. Listen to what Paul has to say in Ephesians 1. Even before he made the world, God loved us and chose us in Christ to be holy and without fault in his eyes. God decided in advance to adopt us into his own family by bringing us to himself through Jesus. This is what he wanted to do, and it gave him great pleasure. It says right here, without fault in his eyes. God loves us. There is no fault. We are pure and we are blameless and we are perfect. And he loves us just the way that we are. So think about that. Before your mistakes, before your failures, before your fears, before anybody ever labeled you, God already knew you, loved you, accepted you, and wanted you to be a part of his family. While Saul seen a persecutor, God seen Paul the apostle. While we see our limitations, God sees our potential. And while we see our past, God sees our future. God sees more in you than you see in yourself. Don't get stuck seeing yourself the wrong way. Okay, our last sign for this game is, also tells you what it is, but you see these a lot on the interstate, right? On the interstate, we're moving so fast. It's just a straight stretch, and we're just going so fast. We're like 70 miles an hour, and then sometimes we're like, We need to get off an exit. We can't find the exit. Worst is, are there kids say we're on a long trip? Are we there yet? I need to go to the bathroom, and it says next rest stop is 40 miles. So when we see this exit sign, everybody's like, yes, we're almost there. We're almost where we're heading. An exit sign reminds us that we can move forward. Maybe you're stuck in fear. Maybe you're stuck believing that you're not enough. Or maybe you're just stuck replaying those same mistakes from years ago over and over and over. Or maybe you're just surviving. Maybe you're just going through the motions. But I have good news for you today. God never intended Paul to stay Saul, and God never intended us to stay stuck. Paul had one encounter with Jesus, one that changed his entire life. He didn't just get a new name. He didn't just get a new identity. He got a new purpose in life. God didn't create you to stay stuck. He created you for more. And that's exactly what we've been learning in CrossKids over the last 4 weeks. These CrossKids and our Kids Club kids and our volunteers, they have been discovering what it is to know Jesus and to love and just to be loved by him. And they've learned that no matter where the road takes you, God is with you. This past week at our BBS pop-up party, these kids, they didn't just come to have fun. They came to serve. They were on mission. They made friends. They smiled at strangers. They done amazing, just making people feel like they were loved. They brought the party to our community, and they shared God's love with them. And I'd like to share this little video so you guys can see a highlight on what that was like for the past month for CrossKids.
Everywhere we travel shows us more of who God is. As we learn to trust God's word, we find out how to live. Let's take a road trip. God knows where we're going, leading us to a place where we find love and grace. Road trip, we're never alone in. The journey will never stop. We're on the go with God. Oh, let's take a road trip. All right. Nothing more we need. Riding where God leads. Buckle up, grab a friend, jump on in. Never-ending journey, loving and learning. Buckle up, grab a friend, jump on in. Everywhere we travel shows us more of who God is. As we learn to trust God's word, we find out how to live. Let's take a road trip. God knows where we're going, leading us to a place where we find love and grace. Road trip that we're never alone in. The journey will never stop. We're on the go with God. Are we there yet? We are on our way. Are we there yet? We are on our way. Are we there yet? We are on our way. Are we there yet? There yet?
Let's give our CrossKids and volunteers another round of applause because they done an amazing job. And I feel like that video speaks for itself because it let you see a highlight of how things went for the entire month, how it started and where it ended. So we're going to go ahead and close our eyes, bow our heads, and pray. Jesus, thank you so much